Hello students, in today's video we'll be discussing about the properties of water. Water, as you all know, is extremely important for life. The formula of water we write as H2O, which is a dihydrogen oxide, and the molecular mass comes to 18 atomic mass units. The typical structure of water would be angular in this way, okay, in which two hydrogens are bound covalently with the oxygen atom. About 70% of the earth crust is occupied with water and only 2.5% is the fresh water. And water exists as a snow, that is in the solid state, snow or ice, in the liquid state, and in the gaseous form, in the vapor state. So water can exist in the three states of matter. We will be looking today more specifically into the physical properties of water, such as what is its nature, boiling point, freezing point, density, anomalous expansion of water, what is latent heat of fusion of ice, latent heat of fusion, and what is the specific capacity. So when we look into the physical properties of water, first thing is that water is colorless, odorless and tasteless. So whatever we taste the water, that is due to whatever is dissolved in it. That can be the gases or solids that are dissolved in it, okay. Otherwise the pure water is odorless, colorless and tasteless. Boiling point. What is a boiling point? Boiling point is the conversion of the liquid state into the vapor state. So under the normal pressure, that is the atmospheric pressure, the water boils at 100 degrees centigrade. All of us know that. The boiling point of water is affected by pressure. So if there is a lower pressure, for example, okay, for example, when we go on top of the hills, there is a lower pressure as you go up. So whether the water will boil at a lower temperature or at a higher temperature, it will boil at a lower temperature. So typically, for example, at the top of the Mount Everest, the water will boil at 70 degrees centigrade itself, okay, because the pressure is low. So what needs to be done in such conditions? The food or whatever we are cooking will not cook properly, therefore it is better to use a pressure cooker. So what happens in a pressure cooker is that the pressure inside the cooker can go higher than the atmospheric pressure, okay. Therefore what will happen, the water will boil at a higher temperature, okay. So in this way the food material can be cooked at a higher temperature, okay, in the presence of water. Sometimes there may be impurities present in the water, for example some salts and all, okay. We know that water is hard water, soft water, okay. So suppose it is a hard water, then that is also going to increase the boiling point of water, okay. So if you take hard water, for example, it will boil at a higher temperature compared to the, say, RO water that we used in the home. So if it is a more fresh water without the salts, the soft water, it will boil at a lower temperature. That is, the lesser the salts, the purer the form, it will boil at 100 degrees centigrade. Next is the freezing point of water or the melting point of ice. What does it mean? Both of them mean the same, that is the freezing point means conversion of the liquid phase into the solid phase, and melting means conversion of the solid phase into the liquid phase. Both these are at equilibrium. Okay, ice and water, okay, that is the melting of ice and the freezing, both are going to take place at equilibrium, okay, simultaneously. So it depends upon the what the temperature is at that given time. Okay, so pure water will freeze at 0 degree centigrade under the normal atmospheric pressure. The freezing point of water will decrease with increase in pressure. So when the pressure increases, the freezing point of water decreases. So how do we understand this one? So suppose there is a decrease in pressure, that is more easy to visualize, like we are going on top of the mountain. So there is going to be a decrease in the pressure, then the freezing point is going to increase. Okay, that is it will freeze at a higher temperature as well. Okay, instead of 0 it can freeze at say 4 degrees and so on. So the freezing point of water also decreases due to the presence of dissolved impurities. So just like we saw the boiling point increases with this dissolved impurities, the freezing point also decreases due to the presence of dissolved impurities. Next, we look at the density of water. Density of water at 4 degrees centigrade is the maximum. Okay, so generally the special property of water is that at 4 degrees centigrade the pure water is showing the maximum density, okay, which is coming to 1 gram per ml, okay, and maximum volume also, okay, maximum volume also it is exhibiting at this point. But water, it starts to expand on freezing. That is, if it is 100 volumes of ice, then it will be 92 volumes of water. Okay, that means when it converts to ice, it is going to expand. That is why it is covering a larger volume. Okay, so if it is covering a larger volume, what is going to happen to the density? It is going to become less. And because the density of the ice is less, whether it will float or it will sink in water, it will float. Okay, so the density of ice is 0.92. Okay, therefore it is going to float on water. Okay, it is not going to sink. Next is the anomalous expansion of water. So water has this unusual physical property. When it is cooled, it contracts, okay, just like other liquids. But below 4 degrees centigrade, what is going to happen? It starts expanding. Okay, like what we saw here, becomes ice, density is becoming less because it is expanding. And this will happen until when? Until it reaches 0 degrees centigrade. At this point, the ice will freeze. Okay, the water will freeze into ice. Now this anomalous expansion, because we know that other liquids, they will contract when they are cooled. Okay, but this is going to expand between the 4 degrees and 0 degrees centigrade. It is going to expand rather than contract. Now this property of anomalous expansion of water is very important for the survival of the marine life. Okay, that is the fishes and other organisms that are living in the water, okay, particularly in the colder regions, because on the top there is a layer of ice that is formed and below there is the water is not in the frozen state under. So here the fishes and other aquatic life, they are surviving, okay, because the ice is less dense, it is floating, and it doesn't, because it is also a poor conductor of heat, it doesn't allow the drop in temperature to go all the way down. Therefore below the water remains in the liquid form, okay. So this is a very important for the survival of the aquatic animals. Coming to the next important point, that is the latent heat, okay. Latent heat, under latent heat we have the latent heat of fusion of ice, okay, and also we have the latent heat of vaporization of water, okay. Both are, we are talking about latent heat, okay. So what is this latent heat? So the amount of heat that is required to change the state of the substance from one form to another, okay. So that change of the state may be from the, for example in the fusion of ice, it is the amount of the heat that is required to change a substance from the solid to liquid state, okay, at its melting point without the change in the temperature. So from solid to liquid form, okay, from solid to liquid form, fusion of ice. Now the amount of heat that is required by the ice to change into water, okay, ice to change into water is called the latent heat of the fusion of the ice. So its value is coming to around 80 calories per gram. This much amount of heat is required for the conversion of ice to water, okay. 1 gram of water, you need to supply 80 calories of energy, then it will convert the 1 gram of ice into water, okay. So it can always be said that the amount of heat is released when 1 gram of water solidifies to form 1 gram of ice at 0 degree centigrade. The high specific latent heat of the solidification that lakes and rivers do not freeze suddenly, okay, because so much energy is required, okay. It is a high latent amount of energy for the solidification that the lakes and rivers, okay, just like we discussed earlier, it is able to form the ice on the top, okay, a layer of ice will be floating, and because of the high latent heat it does not allow the rivers and lakes to freeze immediately or suddenly, okay. Now we can compare that with the latent heat of vaporization of water, because we know that when water is boiled it changes into gaseous state. The energy required to change the water into vapor at the boiling point without any change in temperature is called the latent heat of vaporization, okay. So the specific value comes to say 540 calories per gram. So you can also imagine that if some person sweats during the hot weather, the evaporation of the sweat takes the heat from the body and it gives a cooling effect. that is the vaporization of water. So when the water is getting vaporized, so this much amount of energy, okay, it is going in that form, resulting in a kind of a cooling effect. Okay, the same amount of heat released when 1 gram of the steam condenses to form 1 gram of water at 100 degrees centigrade. Okay, this is a high specific latent heat of the condensation. So the reverse of this will be the latent heat of condensation, because we seen that the latent heat is about the what is the heat that is required for the conversion of a specific amount of substance from one state to the another state. Okay, in the case of water, when we talk about the amount of heat that is released when 1 gram of the steam is converted to 1 gram of water at 100 degrees centigrade. So on account of this high specific latent heat of condensation, the steam causes more serious burns at 100 degrees centigrade. Okay, this is important because most of the time the dry burn and what you say steam burn, the steam burns are very serious. Okay, so it is the sudden release of latent heat of condensation that causes the violence that is associated with the torrential rains. So you know very well that when the torrential rains are taking place, okay, so what is happening, that the vapor form, the water is present in the vapor form in the clouds, and that is getting condensed. Okay, so because there is a sudden release of that latent heat of condensation, so that causes the lot of turbulence. Next, the specific heat capacity. What is a specific heat? How it is different from the latent heat? So it was found that when 1 gram of water was heated through 1 degree centigrade, it always absorbs how much? 4.2 joules or 1 calorie of heat energy. Okay, so how much heat energy is required for increasing the temperature of 1 gram of water, 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade? That is the 4.2 joules or 1 calorie. Okay, the fixed amount of heat that is absorbed by the 1 gram of water when heated through 1 degree centigrade is known as the specific heat capacity. Okay, so this is the specific heat capacity of water. Water, because of its high specific heat, is commonly used as a coolant in the motor car radiators, in the desert coolers, okay, and so on. Because this much amount of heat, that is 4.2 joules or 1 calorie of heat, is required to increase the temperature by 1 degree centigrade. Now if you compare that with the hot weather, in the hot weather the air is very warm, so what is going to happen, the water is going to absorb that heat and therefore the air is getting cooled down. Okay, so due to the high specific capacity, the presence of the large amount of water is able to modify the climate of the nearby land area. Therefore when you are sitting close to the river or pond or oceans, then the water bodies, they don't get heated up as quickly as that of the land, and therefore in the warmer climates you are able to feel a bit of a cooling effect, and in the case of when it is winter season, they give a little bit of warming effect. Okay, because the breeze that is coming from the land and that from the sea will be different, because it is the water is able to, because of its high specific heat, it is able to absorb that temperature, that heat, okay, and therefore it will moderate the temperature of the air. Okay, so the specific heat and latent heat are different, whereas the latent heat is the temperature that is required, okay, for the change of state from one state to another. The specific heat, it is what heat? It is the amount of energy, heat energy, that is required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water through 1 degree centigrade. Okay, there is no change in state, just it is used for the specific. When we say specific, the term specific means it is for a fixed amount of substance. Okay, so if you say even in latent heat also, that is specific latent heat, it will mean that for a specific amount, for say 1 gram of water, that is the thing. Okay, that is the importance of why we say specific. Okay, in different places we will be using this term specific. So that is about the different physical properties of water. One of the very important property of water is also that it is a universal solvent. So what does it mean, universal solvent? That means it is able to dissolve many substances, many different kind of substances, not only solids but also gases, other liquids, and so on. So the question is, how is it that water is able to dissolve such different types of substances? That is because of the high dielectric constant of water. Okay, so basically what is the meaning of this high dielectric constant of water? When you look at the structure of water, there is the one oxygen that is bonded with two hydrogen atoms. Now this hydrogen is highly electronegative. Okay, highly electronegative means what? It is a larger atom compared to hydrogens. It has more electrons. Okay, now there is one electron from hydrogen, one electron from oxygen, okay, that are being shared. Okay, this hydrogen is sharing its electron with the oxygen, this one, and these two are sharing here. So this sharing is taking place, but whether the sharing of this electron is equal, is it equal sharing? No, this oxygen is being a bigger atom, being more electronegative, it is pulling this electron of the hydrogen more towards itself. Okay, so then what is happening? The sharing is unequal. It is more towards the oxygen atom. This hydrogen, this electron of the hydrogen is shifting more towards the oxygen atom. Then what happens? This oxygen will get a partial delta negative charge. This hydrogen will get partial positive charge, partial positive charge. So now what is happening effectively? There is one molecule of water, but it is acting like it is having one side positive charge, one side negative charge. But this is not absolute charge, this is delta charge, that is partial charge. If it is absolute charge, then we say that it is an ionic compound. But this is not ionic compound, it is a covalent compound, but it is a polar. It is a polar. It is having high dielectric constant because oxygen is able to pull the hydrogen electron very strongly towards itself. Okay, so in this way what is happening? There is a dielectric formation. There are the two poles of charged partial charge that has been formed. Now because of this, what is happening? It is having a high dielectric constant. It is able to dissolve the ionic substances. It is able to dissolve the many of the different types of compounds. Okay, so this is one of the very important properties of water, and in our further classes we will be discussing about how a couple of experiments on how to see that the dissolved salts are present in water and the air is dissolved in water. Okay, so we will be looking at this one along with the solutions. We will be starting what are the different types of solutions that can be prepared. Okay, what are saturated solutions, unsaturated solutions, supersaturated solutions, and so on. Okay, thank you.